Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the installment of Scott's Selections here for Sunday, May 30th. Before we get today's play of the day, quick recap of what happened yesterday. We picked up a nice winner in the NBA with the Bucks, -4.5 and -110 on FanDuel. Heat ended up leading at the half, and then the Bucks woke up and really just dominated like they did in games games 2 and 3. You look at Miami, scored less than 40 points in the second half. Milwaukee buried them, won by double digits, so it was a nice easy winner there at -4.5. We'll look for another easy winner here on Sunday. And for the play of the day, we're going to be sticking with the NBA. And once again, we're going to be doing the afternoon game. And today it's going to be between the Knicks and the Hawks, taking place at around 1 p.m. Eastern time. And for the play of the day, we are looking at the total, and we like the under. The best line currently available is 209.5 at -110 on BetMGM. Time recording of 1:10 a.m. Eastern time. Now, a couple reasons why I like the under in the spot. First of all, 209.5 is a gift of a line. You shop around. FanDuel, DraftKings, Fox Bet all have 208.5. Meanwhile, I did see BetOnline had around 209 flat. But BetMGM's giving you 209.5 at no extra juice. I'll take the free point to the bank. And if you look at how the series has gone, a lot of low-scoring games. All three games have gone under. First game was close to going over, but you also had 68 points in the fourth quarter. So that game was flying under before a late flurry with a bunch of questionable fouls down the stretch. But if you look at the last two games, each of those two games have failed to reach 200 points. And yet the total in this one is 209.5. So this total really doesn't make any sense. Now, the markets have started to adjust by lowering the total, but if you compare the totals for each game, they're dropping it by about 1.5 points or so, and that these games have been going under by double-digit points. So I think the markets are correcting, but they're not correcting fast enough, and I do think at 209.5, there's a lot of value left on the under. Now, looking at some other factors as to why I like the under besides how the series has played out so far, looking at the pace, both teams are extremely slow offensively. New York all season long, one of the slowest paces in the league, ranks 30th in the league in pace. Meanwhile, Atlanta does rank 23rd. A lot of half-court sets with pick and rolls, and I do think you will see a lot of clock being eaten off from both teams running their normal sets. Now, looking at the Knicks, you have seen some awful offense by them, and I'm going to go into detail as to why. Of course, you know that Derrick Rose has been great so far for the Knicks in the series, but that's pretty much, I'd say, the last positive you can actually talk about besides a little bit of Nerlens Noel. Looking at the two of the best three guys on the Knicks, Randall and Barrett have both been terrible. Randall, of course, has been the biggest disappointment. He was an all-star, favored to win most improved player, and yet he's shooting just 24.1% from the floor. He has been completely lost against this Atlanta defense. And looking at R.J. Barrett, who had a pretty solid regular season, he's only shooting 34.2% from the floor. Other than that, I mean, you're looking at Burks, who's been decent, but if two of your best three guys are just consistent no-shows, that kind of explains why the Knicks have had issues reaching 100 points, and I do think you will see them struggle once again offensively in this Atlanta, I'd say, hostile environment, because Atlanta does have a phenomenal home court, especially with the fans back there at relatively full capacity. But looking at some other factors here, looking at the Hawks, I do have a couple of issues with the current offense, mostly involving the lack of scoring depth. You look at the regular season, the Hawks had 9 guys who averaged at least 10 points per game. So far in the playoffs, the Hawks have 3. So they really haven't been getting much support in comparison to what they got in the regular season. Of course, Trae Young has been carrying the offensive load, so you haven't really noticed because the Hawks are still up 2-1 in the series. But you really haven't gotten much support from Collins. I know he was better in Game 3, but he's averaging less than 10 points per game. Hunter was better in Game 3, but he struggled in the first couple of games. Bogdanovich has been good. I'll give him props for that. But other than that, though, really not much else in terms of help. Now, looking at the Hawks as well, they scored 105 points in Game 3. However, they also shot 51.9% from the floor, and they shot an absurd 59.3% from the three-point line, 16 for 27. So they shot a ridiculous clip from 3 and yet still only reached 105. I think there's a good chance you'll see a little bit of regression there, which should cause the Hawks, even if they shoot around 43% from 3 or something like that, that could easily result in the Hawks barely reaching 100, which should definitely pay dividends towards the under. But at the end of the day, just looking at these two teams, you have seen a lot of low-scoring games, a lot of hideous offense, and until I see the Knicks wake up from their offensive funk, and until I actually see the Hawks consistently shoot 50+% from 3, which I just don't see happening based on just a law of averages, I do think you will see a low-scoring game in which one of these teams does not reach 100 points. So once again, the play of the day here for Sunday, May 30th, is going to be on the Knicks and the Hawks under 209.5 at -110 at MGM. Bye, everyone.